I'm here to discuss about sample, the sampling process and the types of sample. So let us first understand or have a concept about sample. Sample is a small part, okay? It is a small part or quantity intended to show what the whole is like, okay? What the whole looks like. Clear? Now, talking about sampling, we should understand that it represents the actual group. Clear? The actual group which is used for data collection. It is a process of selecting a smaller number of elements from a larger targeted population. So, in a way, you should understand that there is a target population from where you have to draw a sample. Thus, sampling means selecting group that you will actually collect data from. It means the target population. Now, take for example, this is the population, and since the population is large, assuming that the population is large, you have to select the samples which will represent this population. So, why sampling is important? We often hear the researcher or the research scholar is working on the sampling process in order to collect the data, right? So, since gathering data from the entire population is actually not feasible, the sampling process is adopted. So in every research work, we normally take a sample or samples of something for analyzing purpose. So since we have stated that this is the entire population, so what we do is we are selecting, you see, we are selecting the samples. Okay, so the red marks indicates the samples that has been drawn. Okay, so when we talk about something that has been drawn, okay, means the population, we should understand that it doesn't indicate the humans alone. It could be the institution, the factories, the different organization, the people, the industry, a list of group of people, objects, items, and so on and so forth. So, population, we should understand that it does not only mean the people, as you have already seen. In a nutshell, sampling is a representation of the entire population that is drawn for the research purpose. Thus, it implies that since population is large, it is difficult for measurement. Hence, samples are being drawn which should be the representative of the entire population. This is important in order to ensure that we can generalize the findings. Thus, samples are used in research work for making inferences about the target population. Now, coming to the types of sampling, we have the probability sampling and the non-probability sampling. Let's talk about the probability sampling. We see that probability sampling, it ensures that every population, or you can say that every element of the target population have equal chance of being selected. Clear? This sort of probability sampling arises when the population size is very large. It is also diverse. So, the next is the non-probability sampling. In this case, not everyone has an equal chance of getting selected. It arises when the population size is small. Research is done basing on what data is available. It is used when they aim to conduct qualitative research, pilot studies, or exploratory research. Also when they have limited time to conduct research or have budget constraints. So we should understand that non-probability sampling based on judgmental, it is non-random. Also, by knowing the sample or by knowing it, sample are being chosen. In a way, it is purposeful sampling. Clear? So, here you can see it is used when the population has similar traits. Okay, it is also used when the population has similar traits alike. Okay. Now, the types of probability sampling. We'll discuss about the simple random sampling, systematic random sampling, stratified random sampling, and the cluster sampling. When we talk about simple random sampling, it implies that every member of the population have equal chance of being selected. Simply, okay, we have randomly selected the sample out of the total population that is available. Okay. In case of systematic random sampling, in this case we see that every member of the population are selected at a fixed interval. So take for example, we have 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, okay, the rows. So after every fifth interval, the sample is being drawn. Clear? So this is systematic random sampling. Now coming to the stratified random sampling, it implies that stratified sampling, it states that the population is divided into homogeneous group. Okay. Grouping the population on certain subgroups like age, gender, profession, job roles, and so on. And then randomly a group is being selected. These groups are being divided on the basis of their characteristics. Okay. Now you see, take for example, you intend to group. Now we know that population, every population has heterogeneous characteristics. Okay, different it's diverse, it is diverse, we all know that. So presuming that you want to group them into different age groups, clear? So this diverse population are you're trying to divide it into different groups, like you have one group which is of 20 years old. Okay. The next group, maybe it is of maybe 30 years old. The next would be of 40 years old. The next would be of 50 years old. So each group, in this case, what you can see is each group, okay, each group differs from one another. It differs from one another. Clear? So this is a stratified way of sampling. Within the strata, what is happening? Population are made homogeneous, same. Within each strata, the population are made into homogeneous. So you have all the 20 age group here, all the 30 age group here, all the 40 and all the 50s out here. So from heterogeneous group, homogeneous group are being formed. So this is all about the stratified sampling. In case of clustered sampling, what we see that a cluster is being formed. Okay, here clusters are being formed. So each cluster includes the representation of the population. As in this case, what happens? We formed groups, the heterogeneous group into homogeneous group. But in this case, what is happening is that we have age groups of, same example, age groups of 20, 30, 40 and 50 representing one group. Similarly 20, 30, 40 and 50. Similarly this 20, 30, 40 and 50. So in this case what is happening is that one cluster with different characteristics forms or comes into one group. Cluster is homogeneous, but within the cluster it is heterogeneous. Okay. So coming to the non-probability sampling, we have the convenience sampling, the snowball sampling, the quota sampling. In case of convenience sampling, check this out. Samples are selected from the population as it is conveniently available. So what is happening here? You have a population where the you see the population size is not very large, or maybe like for your research purpose what you are doing, you are like basing on your interest, your area, your objective, you have decided to select this specific population. It means your choice is there. You're able to make a choice of selecting the samples for your research purpose. So this is convenient sampling. Now coming to the snowball sampling, it is also known as the chain sampling. Clear? It is also known as the chain sampling. Now you see that let me just explain you with an example. Now take for example that you want to carry a research work on certain issues like maybe drug addiction, or maybe mercy killing, or maybe the theft case. Okay, so in this cases what happens is that it is really not easy for you to know or gather information from the people or the sources, because it is a very sensitive issue. Okay, so these are sensitive issues. So what happens is that you happen to come in contact with a person who has an experience in that specific line, or maybe you know a person who has suffered or who had faced that kind of situation. So what you do is you try to build up a rapport with the person, you try to talk or discuss, and thereby you can ask him or her, you can ask the person if he could be of help, that in order to get an information about more such type of people who has faced the situation. So in this way what is happening is that from one person you have gathered an information, or probably he has given an information about one person or two person. Okay, so in this way it's like it's forming a chain. So in this way you have collected a number of people this way. So in a very simple way, when we talk about snowball, you must have seen movies or maybe a documentary show or something. Like when a snowball falls from a top, okay, supposing a snowball falls from a top, what happens is that the small ball forms bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so it is adding up. This is being adding up. Okay, so in this way, in snowball sampling, the research scholar or the researcher tries best possible way to connect people, and from that connection he tries to get information about some other people, and thereby they try to meet or have a discussion over the line or something like that. So that thereby a chain is being formed. Clear? So a group of people for the specific subject area or the specific area is made possible through the snowball sampling if and only if a chain is being formed. So this is all about the snowball sampling. So coming to the quota sampling, it means the members selected on the basis of some specific characteristics. So we have the quota sampling. The word quota should make you clear enough that the participants are being selected, or you may say the subjects are selected, which would actually represent the population for your study. Okay, so definitely the groups, you have decided certain characteristics. Okay, so if those characteristics fits in the population of your study, then you can select. Okay, you can make a selection. That is again a non-probability type of sampling. So it is based on your area, your choice. So you're free to make your choice. So what you try to make or form certain characteristics that you're looking for these characteristics. Okay, these specific characteristics, and if the population fits in, then you can select the sample out of it. Clear? So that's about the quota sampling. Coming to the judgmental or the purposeful sampling. As a researcher, you try to choose only those people whom you think they are suitable for your current or on-hand research work. Okay, so it is purely a purposive sampling. It is based on your judgment, your decision. If you think that the subjects or the participants fulfills your criteria, then you can select. So that's it for today. See you all in my next video. Thank you. Stay safe.